Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the NBA slate on DraftKings for Tuesday, March 6th. We have 8 games today on this Tuesday. Really nice size slate for a Tuesday at least. Before we do get started, I would really appreciate it if you guys would drop a like on the video. And if you haven't subscribed yet, if you're new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button down below so that way you'll never miss out on any of my new uploads. But yeah, guys, we're going to go through each position, talk about some players we want to target, and of course I'll give you 5 guys that I see the night before that I do really like for this slate. So starting off at point guard, we got James Harden, Russell Westbrook, 2 kind of stud options above 10K. Also got Lillard, Curry for a little bit cheaper. Right now, looking at this slate the night before, I really like Russell Westbrook in this spot, playing at home against Houston. Westbrook's a guy that I'm definitely think I'm going to be jamming in some lineups today. Always like targeting Westbrook in these big-time games. This is definitely a big-time game here. Going up against Houston, nationally televised. You know Westbrook's going to get up and play really well for this game. He always does for these big-time games. He did have a pretty solid game earlier this year against Houston. Put up 60 DraftKings points in 36 minutes, had 31 points, 6 rebounds, 11 assists. One thing to note, Chris Paul did not play in that game. Chris Paul is a solid defender, but I still think Westbrook's a good play here. Chris Paul not really going to slow down Westbrook. He can try and contain him best he can, but nobody can really stop Westbrook. An 11,200, I actually think that's a pretty nice price tag for him. Do have a lot of studs on this slate. You got Harden for a little bit more. Also got Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Embiid, Jokic. Definitely some studs to pay up for. You could go to like Harden. You could play Anthony Davis, but right now I think Westbrook is the guy I want. At least stud options, 11,200. Really like him here. Not really gonna be prioritizing like Dame, Steph Curry, Bill, Holiday. Don't think these are guys I'm really trying to jam in. Curry seems interesting at 9,300. That's a really good spot against Brooklyn. Fast-paced game there. This game definitely going to have one of the highest totals on the slate. Haven't looked at totals yet, but I would imagine this Brooklyn-Golden State game going to be one of the highest scorings. Obviously, you have to worry about blowout. But if it can stay close, Steph Curry, 9,300 against Brooklyn could absolutely go off. But I feel like Westbrook a little bit of a safer option. His game should definitely be competitive against Houston. But looking for other point guard plays, I do want to have a lot of exposure to that Houston OKC game because I think it's going to be very high scoring. So Chris Paul at 7,900 I think is a good play here. Really think Chris Paul is kind of underpriced today, under 8K. Just seems like too cheap of a price for Chris Paul. I know he's been pretty poor lately, only putting up 41, 38, 29, and 28 DraftKings points his last 4 games. But in this spot against OKC, I think Paul can return value on this salary, especially if this is a competitive game, which I imagine it is going to be. So I do like Paul as a mid-tier play. Definitely not a guy I'm prioritizing because I want Westbrook up top, but maybe Paul in tournaments if you want to go there. I think he is a fine play today. We do have like a lot of mid-tier plays like Lou Will, got Kimba, got Kyle Lowry, CJ, Dragic. A lot of good 7K options, but Paul, I'd say he's my favorite in that 7K range. Then if we go to the 6K range, do have some really good plays here as well. Dennis Smith Jr. is a guy that I really like today going up against Denver. This is a really good matchup. Denver really struggles to defend point guards, so great matchup for DSJ. He's 6,600. That price tag might shy some people away. I feel like DSJ is going to be kind of low owned today because we'll talk about a guy that's a little bit cheaper than him that I think is going to be a lot more popular. I do really like DSJ in tournaments. I think he has a lot of upside in this matchup. If this game stays competitive against Denver, bad team at defending point guards, DSJ could totally go off for 40, 45, 50 DK points. Wouldn't surprise me at all here. Is coming off a 41-point game against New Orleans where he went off for 23 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, played 31 minutes. DSJ's minutes been pretty consistent all year, and we have seen him play pretty big minutes in competitive games. So I like him at 6,600. I feel like a lot of people are going to be going to RAJON Rondo today. I really like Rondo as well. I am going to be plugging him in. I think he's going to be pretty popular at just 6,200. Rondo's been playing really well lately. He's been playing big minutes, which is something we like to see. In Rondo's last 4 games, 36, 36, 32, and 32 minutes, 47, 27, 44, 42 DraftKings points. Rondo's just too cheap for a guy that's putting up over 40 DraftKings points in 3 of his last 4 games. You're getting a guy in the 6K range that has triple-double upside. We know Rondo can get a triple-double. You just look at his last 4 games. He nearly has a double-double in all 4. Was only 4 points shy of a double-double there against Phoenix. Nearly has a triple-double, only missing... this game against Dallas only needed 1 rebound for a triple-double. This game against San Antonio, just 2 rebounds shy. This game against Milwaukee, just 2 rebounds shy as well. Rondo, this guy just has so much upside. Really good matchup here against the Clippers. Avery Bradley's off the court right now. Patrick Beverley, we know, is out for the season. That Clippers backcourt, their defense, just not really good. And Rondo's playing consistent minutes right now, so he is a guy you should be hopping on. 6,200, just too cheap of a price for Rondo. We've also got some other guys that are a little bit cheaper we could go to. Austin Rivers is a guy that I really like. I will be plugging him in at shooting guard. I think Rivers is a really good play here going up against the Pelicans. He's pretty much the primary ball handler for the Clippers, at least when Lou Will's off the court. Rivers has the ball in his hands a lot. And point guards against the Pelicans have been doing so good this year. The Pelicans versus point guards, they're not good defensively. Rondo is not a very good defender. So I really like this spot for Rivers. He's playing big minutes in competitive games, played 37 minutes last game against Brooklyn. And I feel like this game against the Pelicans will definitely be competitive. So I feel like Rivers is going to play some big minutes here. And at 5,800, he could easily get 6x on this price. Would not surprise me at all. So he's another guy that I like in sort of that price range at point guard. Really loaded position up top and in that mid-range. But the value, not a ton that I see at point guard that I'm absolutely in love with. Sub 5K, you can maybe play Teodosic against the Pelicans. Great matchup there, but Teodosic lately just hasn't been showing a lot of upside. I think he's a good cash play because he's been very consistent, but not a guy you're really going to play in tournaments just because the upside isn't there. Maybe you could play Yogi Ferrell at 4,300 if Wes Matthews is out today. Ferrell did start for Matthews in their last game, so maybe if you want to go to him, you could play him. But this is not a position I really want the value. I'm looking to the mid-range and up top at point guard, kind of loaded from top to the mid-range. But moving on to shooting guard, not really going to be paying up here unless I'm playing like a Harden in a tournament lineup or like Curry in a tournament. I really like some of the plays from point guard that you can play this position, like Rivers. You can play a shooting guard, and I think he's a fine play to plug in at shooting guard right now. These guys like DeRozan, Lou Will, CJ McCollum, these guys are fine tournament plays, but like if I'm making one lineup, I'm not sure if these guys are going to make that one lineup today. Lou Will, if you want to like game stack that Pelicans-Clippers game, I think he'd be a fine play at 7,700. But probably won't be going there in cash, mostly a tournament play. In this 6K range, not a lot of guys I feel like I have to have. Mostly like Clay against Brooklyn, you can go there in tournaments. D'Angelo Russell against Golden State. That game's going to be played at fast pace. Russell could be a really good tournament play here, but obviously if that game blows out, Russell's not going to play a ton of minutes. It's going to be pretty disappointing. But you could play him in GPPs. If we go like this 5K range, not a lot of optimal plays I really see here. Guys I feel like I have to have. Shooting guard's a pretty gross position, kind of from top to bottom. Like Teodosic, Ferrell, you can play at shooting guard. Ferrell, you can play if Wes Matthews is out. Teodosic, I do like, especially in cash. But that's really it for the value that I see. At least options that really stand out to me. Like I said, shooting guard's kind of gross, like just for optimal plays. Guys like Lou Will, DeRozan, obviously these guys are good plays, but it's going to be hard to fit these guys in, especially if you're trying to pay up for like Westbrook or Harden or AD. But let's go ahead and move on to small forward. You got Kevin Durant up top here against Brooklyn. Obviously, since I like Westbrook so much, I'm not going to be playing KD on this slate, at least not in like cash or anything. It is a great matchup against Brooklyn, but I think there are better studs I'd rather pay up for. I'd rather get up to some of the top guys or go a little bit cheaper to like the 6K range, play guys like Rondo, like Lou Will. I think those are guys I'm kind of prioritizing. So at KD's price, I think I'd actually prefer Steph for a little bit cheaper. So small forward's probably not a position I want to pay up at. Like, you can maybe play Paul George against Houston if you want to game stack that game. But I think small forward is a position I like some of the value that we can go to. This mid-range, obviously there are plays here you could go to in tournaments. Maybe Harrison Barnes, if you want to play him in cash, you could do that. Like, Tobias Harris has been on a pretty big heater lately. I know he had a big game against Brooklyn. You could play him in a tournament at 7,500, but he's not really a guy I'm prioritizing right now. Markieff Morris has been consistent lately, but he's got a tough matchup against the Heat. Not sure if I want to go there. Michael Beasley is insanely cheap at just 5K, but his minutes have been so up and down lately that I'm not sure I want to play him either. There's a value play I like at small forward. One of my 5 plays is going to come from this position. I do like TREVOR ARIZA here at 4,700 against OKC as a value play today. You can play him as small forward or power forward. I think we see Ariza play some big minutes here. He already plays big minutes just throughout the season. Usually sees about 35 minutes at least pretty much every night if the game's competitive. Sometimes this year he's played like close to 40 minutes, if not more than that. He did play 43 minutes earlier this year against OKC and put up 28 DraftKings points. Ariza is one of the Rockets' better defenders, so I think he's going to be needed here defensively. They're going to need him to guard PG, might even guard Westbrook at times. They're going to need him to guard Melo as well. And at 4,700, you're getting a guy that's going to play 35 to 40 minutes if the game's competitive. Don't see how he doesn't pay off this price. You really only need about 24 or 25 DK points. And you look at his last 4 games, ARIZA's gotten 25, 14, 23, 35. So he's been solid for you. I do really like ARIZA if you're going cheap at small forward. He's a value play. That really sticks out to me, just 4,700. But that's really it for the value that I see sub 5K. ARIZA's mainly the guy I want if I'm going cheap at small forward. Maybe you could play Justice Winslow at 4,200. He's been solid lately. I know he had a pretty solid first half against Phoenix. If you want to play him, but I think I'd actually prefer ARIZA. So that's really it for this position for the value plays. Moving on to power forward, we got Anthony Davis up top here, 11-6, going up against the Clippers. I do really like AD on the slate. I'm hoping some value opens up throughout the day, and I can pay up for Westbrook and Anthony Davis, because those are the 2 studs I really want on the slate. Right now, I think I prefer Westbrook over Davis, but Davis is a guy that I absolutely love today. This guy's just been so consistent for you. Pretty much a bad game from Anthony Davis right now is 50 DraftKings points. 53 against Dallas was a disappointing game. So you're getting such a high floor from AD right now. He obviously has that insane ceiling. He can easily get 100, 90, 100 DraftKings points. Would not be surprised at all. The Clippers have been pretty dreadful defensively against centers this year. Have been giving up a ton of fantasy points to power forwards and centers. So I really like Anthony Davis here. Right now I prefer Westbrook, but AD, if I can fit him in, and Westbrook, if just the value opens up, we'll definitely be trying to do that today. But looking for other power forward plays, if we want to go cheaper, like Draymond, you could play against Brooklyn, 7,500. That's a very cheap price for Draymond. He could be a really good tournament play. A lot of upside there if that game stays competitive. Not a lot of mid-tier plays I feel like I have to have, like Tobias, I guess he's fine. You could play him. Mirotic against the Clippers, you could go there at 6,500. I think Harrison Barnes, really kind of too cheap at 6,100. You could play him in cash. Maybe Millsap at 5,800 if we can confirm he's going to get close to full minutes. At 5,800, I kind of want Millsap to be playing full minutes if I'm going to pay that much for him. But going up against Dallas, very good matchup. You can play Millsap. John Collins, 5,800. Collins' minutes have been pretty solid lately. I know he had a pretty disappointing game against Phoenix. I was kind of high on him that day on the early slate. He only put up 18 DraftKings points in 22 minutes. I think we do see Collins kind of get back to his normal amount of minutes, 25 to 30 here. So if you want to play him at 5,800, I think he's a sort of a fine mid-tier play. There aren't a lot of power forward options that really just stick out to me as being great plays. Like RHJ against the Warriors, you could go to at 5,700, but he's not a guy I feel like I have to have today. Maybe if we want to try and find value, like Beasley, 5K. I think Beasley's too cheap today, but his minutes have been so inconsistent. I don't really want to take that risk. I'm not seeing any cheap values sub 5K. Like, you got ARIZA, who you could play at power forward. He's power forward eligible. Winslow, if you want to go there at 4,200, he might be a good play. Maybe Ed Davis, but obviously these are not guys I'm just really jamming in. Power forward's kind of position. Hopefully we get some value opens up. I'll just kind of have to wait and see here. So moving on to center, we got Anthony Davis up top here. Obviously you got Embiid, Jokic, kind of other stud options at this position. I'm not really a big fan of Embiid today going up against the Hornets. Kind of a tough matchup with Dwight Howard. I would actually prefer Jokic against Dallas. That's a really good matchup. Dallas, really bad at defending centers. They're a very bad rebounding team. I know Jokic had a pretty big game earlier this year against Dallas. But at Jokic's price, I'd just rather get up to Anthony Davis. Jokic is kind of a fine tournament play, but I just feel like Anthony Davis is just a much smarter play. If you're going to pay that much for a center, just try and find the 2K and get up to Davis. I'm not really going to be paying up for center unless I'm playing Davis here. Green, maybe in a tournament, I'd go to maybe Clint Capella or Dwight Howard. Both of them kind of seem too cheap. Nurkic's minutes have been so inconsistent. Steven Adams against Houston, I guess you could go there, but 6,400, just feel like there are better plays on this slate. We do have some interesting tournament options, like Valanciunas against the Hawks could be a great tournament play if Valanciunas plays close to 25-30 minutes. I did like him a lot in that early slate the other day against the Hornets because I thought he was going to play minutes to guard Dwight Howard. That was the case. He played 30 minutes and put up 40 DraftKings points. Valanciunas gets 25 to 30 minutes against this Hawks front court. He could absolutely crush. I know he did have some big games earlier this year against the Hawks. He's played them 3 times, has averaged 35 DraftKings points through those 3 games, and has played an average in 21 minutes. Hasn't played a ton of minutes, but been very productive when he's been on the court against the Hawks this year. So he could be a really good tournament play at 5,600 if you're going cheap at center. He'd probably be my favorite option, just talking about some of those 5K centers. And then going sub 5K, trying to find the cheap value. there isn't really a lot I see here the night before that sticks out to me. Maybe you could play Ed Davis, but I feel like better value open up. Just don't see a lot of value options I feel like I have to have. If Okafor misses today, maybe we could go to CHEICK DIALLO. I know he had a pretty big game last game against Dallas. He played 23 minutes and put up 39 DraftKings points. He did get some nice run with Okafor out. Maybe if Okafor misses again, we could go to CHEICK DIALLO as just a punt play at 3,700, but he's not really a guy I feel like I have to have for value. So that's really it for center. Center and power forward are pretty gross positions. Definitely, hopefully get some news about those positions. Like hopefully some value opens up at power forward or center, because there aren't a lot of plays I really like there. Point guard and shooting guard are kind of like the loaded positions today. But that's really it, guys. I think that's really it for this video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the vid. If it helped you out, please be sure to drop a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you click that subscribe button down below. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section. Comment anything, guys. Always reading the comments. You can also hit me up on Twitter as well, at the DFS_GOAT, if you do have questions. But yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck tonight on the slate, guys. Peace.